thank you, Angie, for doing this. So what I do is I'll ask you to tell us where this was, when was it, and then what happened. And then when you're done explaining everything, I'll have a couple questions.
Okay. Well, it was about 8 years ago, and it was in the game reserve on Stinnett. It's a part of the Daniel Boone National Forest, and we was riding, me and my dad and his wife at the time, and I had told them to go ahead and wait on me at the top of the hill because I was going to pull over and go to use the bathroom, and I felt like I just pulled over in a wide spot, and there's like um, a swampy place that they used to do jumps on four wheelers, real muddy, and um, I felt like something was looking at me, so I looked around, and when I did, I seen whatever it was. It was about 8 foot tall, and it was brown, and it was not a bear. If there's any such thing as Bigfoot, it was Bigfoot. But it scared me so bad, and I jumped on the four wheeler. And when I looked around, it took two big giant scissor steps. That if it had been at the road, it was probably about 8 or 10 car lengths away from me over in that like muddy, swampy place. But if it had been at the road, it would have crossed the road in two giant scissor steps. And I jumped on the four wheeler and I took off flying. And I got to my dad and I said, "Let's go." I didn't tell him until I got back home because I was afraid he would go back and want to go look at it. So I didn't tell nobody for a few years because I didn't want nobody to think I was crazy. Because if somebody would have told me that story, I would have said they was crazy.
Yeah.
But I have never been afraid of nothing. I've went four wheeling at 2 o'clock in the morning by myself. I've seen mountain lions and black panthers and bears. I've seen it all, and nothing has ever put me to the house like whatever that was. And I don't go in that area by myself without a loaded gun in my lap no more.
Yeah. So this was daytime, right?
Yeah, it was probably um it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. It was still daylight. Yeah.
And can you describe any of the features that you remember?
Well, it was at least 8 foot tall, brown, had big long. Its arms was longer, like hung down, and its face was just like the Bigfoot you see on all these shows. Because I was like, at first I was like, did I just see what I thought I seen? Because I would have told everybody that's crazy, and I didn't tell nobody. I probably didn't tell nobody this story besides my immediate family for probably 3 years because I didn't want nobody to think I was crazy.
Yeah. Well, nowadays there's less stigma and there's less ridicule because of all the Bigfoot shows, the researchers, the academics that now support it, the conferences, the witnesses that come forward. We're getting more and more sightings now from way back that
Yeah,
people feel comfortable coming forward now.
I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I know they're always putting different kinds of animals in this game reserve up here on the, they drop snakes down. They do it. It's untelling what really it is, but I think if there's any such thing as Bigfoot, I think it's probably the smartest animal ever existed. I don't think it's like a monster or a half man, half animal. I think it's probably the smartest animal that's ever been, and has buried its own, and that's why nobody's found it.
I agree 100%. They're highly intelligent. The reason why they're still in existence, they know to keep away from us.
Yeah,
They know what we do. We kill things. So they know to keep their distance, just observe us. And they've adapted over thousands of years with better senses than us. And
yeah.
there's too many credible sightings. There's too much. Um, Now back to your sighting. Was the hair long or short?
Long.
Long. Was
Yeah.
it the same color throughout, or did it vary in color?
It was mostly uh like a brown. I mean, it probably had a few dark spots, but it was not a black bear. It was not a brown bear. You know, like I don't even know how to. It's mostly brown looking.
Yeah. And the face, could you see any details of the face?
Yeah, it was like the longer face than a bear, and you know, it just like the Bigfoot that you see that everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it had a longer face and the hairy face,
Yeah.
and yeah, it wasn't no ape or a bear or nothing like that. It was the exact description of a Bigfoot.
Right. So I'm guessing with wide shoulders.
Yeah, longer arms, like the arms was probably like its hands would have reached almost to its knees. Yeah.
I thought it was a good analogy. You mentioned on the phone call before I got home, when it took the two scissor steps. You mentioned a game that we used to play as kids.
Yeah, like when you'd say Mother May or whatever, and they'd say take two giant scissor steps. That's the kind of steps that it took. Like it would have, if it had been at the road, it would have crossed the road in two steps. Like
So it was interesting. I like how you described that because they have such a long stride. And I'm wondering when it took those steps, did it then disappear into the woods?
well, I don't know because it scared me so bad I never looked back. I,
Okay.
I I just took off getting it because I seen all I needed to see. I
Yeah.
mean, because it took the two steps like toward, not really toward me, but toward out of the muddy place that it was at, and it was like not really toward me, but toward where I was going. That's the reason I didn't look back. I was like,
I gotcha. And you went to the bathroom. So I don't get too
yeah,
personal, but
yeah.
did you finish going to the bathroom and then see it?
Yes, I had already went. Yeah, but you know how you feel like somebody's watching you sometimes, or
Yeah.
if somebody's staring at you from behind, like eyes on you, it's like I had a feeling like, oh, somebody's watching me, and I jumped up and looked around, and there it was,
So what when you first saw him, what was he doing?
just standing there.
Just standing there. And was he in the open or was he near trees or
Uh,
bushes or
he was between. He was close to a tree, but he was sort. I mean, he was in the open enough that I saw it plain. It was
right?
like in a wooded area, but he was more like in that like that little swampy area. I'm talking with my hands, you can't see it. But you know, like there's a big tree and then like a little if they used to do jumps on four wheelers and stuff years ago and it's sort of quick. I always felt like it's sort of quicksandy because when you step in it you can't hardly get out of it.
Right.
It's real muddy and swampy.
So he took two steps and you ran out of there.
Yeah, I
Uh,
jumped on that four wheeler and flew. Didn't look
um,
back.
and then how long did it take you to tell people?
Oh, I ain't told nobody. I hadn't told nobody probably. I told my dad after I got back home. But I didn't tell him. I'm like, let's go, and I took off, and I said, let's go, and he followed me, and I didn't tell him what was going on until I got back here. My house is probably 3 miles from there on the down the highway. Like after you get out of the woods and down the highway. So I told him when I got here, and he said he tells everybody, you know, because he knew that I had been one of them that go by myself in the mountains, never was afraid, and he said I was white as a ghost, and he knew I'd seen something. So when I got back here and told him, you know, he knew I'd seen something because I was. He said I was pale as a ghost, and he knew I had already been in the mountains before for years without ever being afraid. So
So did he when you told him was he
yes.
supportive?
Oh yeah, yeah. He knew because he knows I don't lie. I mean, yeah, I don't lie. That's the reason he didn't have no doubt. He didn't have no doubt. I mean, I'm sure other people doubted me and made fun of me, but yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't. He knew I was telling the truth.
And then since then, have you heard about other sightings in the area?
No, not really. Not other than what you see on here or I've not heard him. I did hear one woman that was supposed to seen one, but that's been farther back than my story. And after I told my story, then I heard about her story. It was supposed to be near the pine patch up towards Beach Fork.
Okay. Is she still alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what her name. I can't remember her name. Uh, Jeannie. I think her name's Jeannie.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you happen to,
I could probably hunt her up on Facebook and send you a message.
yeah, I would love that because it,
Yeah.
it'll help um, corroborate your story and the area that there's been multiple, a few sightings in the same area.
Yeah.
And now this area again, what county is it?
Leslie. It's in the
Leslie.
Leslie County side.
And then what's the nearest city? Would you say?
Um, well, like you got to come through Haddon. Um, like you could come depending where you're coming from. If you're coming from Lexington, well, you would come down to Manchester and get off at that, or you could come on down to the Haddon. It's in Essie. Where I saw it is in Essie, Kentucky,
Okay.
which and it sort of goes through with that Redbird Crest Trail system through the National Daniel Boone Forest.
Well, this is exciting. Thank you for sharing this story.
Yeah, I'll try
Uh,
to find Jenny's last name and send you her information. Oh,
okay.
well, my grandbaby's just coming in to go shoot fireworks.
All right. Perfect timing.
All
But
right.
all right. Thank you, Angie. Enjoy your evening.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.